What's your observation for 2024 in terms of trends, businesses, even like monetary policy?
Let's talk about a couple trends for 2024 I wrote an article called Predictions for 2024, and some of them already occurred, right? So I predicted, like most people, that the Bitcoin ETF was going to take place. It happened. The middle class being priced out of a Bitcoin, it already happened. Mm-hmm. I see direct-to-consumer brands highly focused on the health and wellness niche. I see a lot of e-commerce opportunity when it comes to politics, right? So anything that has to do with the election that's coming up, there's a lot of money to be made. I remember selling a little gold coin last election that had Trump's face on it, profile face, and I made $1.6 million in sales, right? Why? Because it only made sense at the time. Yeah. Obviously that won't sell now, but it did extremely well. So trends that I like to kind of observe are in three categories: e-commerce, which is where I'm experienced; money in markets, which is kind of general macro understanding of the markets; and then cryptocurrency and kind of DeFi, decentralized finance. So on the e-commerce side, you're going to see a lot of, I think, once the printers pick up again, you're going to see a lot of mergers and private equity come back and start buying these micro brands and these small companies to put them under an umbrella and kind of have them under a holdings company, which is kind of what we saw over the last couple of years. But like you said, with the recession and the money printers being turned off, that slowed down. Mm-hmm. But you're going to have a huge potential in the health, beauty, wellness niche. Longevity is absolutely crazy. Mm-hmm. In the money in markets, U.S. is going to continue printing out of thin air. It's just inevitably going to happen. I think that there's a high upside on stocks that are undervalued right now, like PayPal. PayPal is going to absolutely smash it. Shopify is going to continue leading e-commerce. You're going to have Robinhood start becoming popularized with retail again. So you're going to have a couple stocks that are going to perform extremely well. Last year I called the kind of the tech rebound on stocks. So I allocated 10% of my net worth into Meta stock when it was anywhere from $90 to $77. It was layered in. So it was a pretty good buy. And on the DeFi/cryptocurrency side, I think we're going to see a huge competition between traditional finance and DeFi, because the tools that are being implemented in DeFi are absolutely insane. You look at new tools that are coming out, new platforms like Jupiter Exchange, on the Solana ecosystem. You see enhanced products that basically look like traditional finance. It's really crazy. I won't do it now, but if you go on the App Store, you tap the search, you input Phantom Wallet, which is one of these DeFi wallets. You download it, you create a crypto wallet on it, and you go to the exchange and somebody sends you, let's say $50 in Tether, $50 in USDC. You could be trading, or you could be in the market buying crypto within 5 minutes, right? If I wanted to open up a bank account, then I wanted to open up an E-Trade account or an Ameritrade account, I would have to get KYC'd. I would have to wait 3 to 5 business days. I would have to suck somebody's dick if I wanted to pull my money out. I'm good, dude. So you're going to see a big competition coming from the non-KYC decentralized finance space to really come and fight for the market. And the market always gets what the market wants. So when the market gets saturated at the bullshit, like for example, today, I wanted to send a $500,000 wire, right? I got all these questions. Who are you sending it to? Why are you sending it? What's the business registration of this other company? Do you have invoices? Do you have the communications? Do you have the terms of service? Do you have the agreement? I'm like, who the fuck are you? And I get it, right? Because on one side, you have the anti-money laundering, and you have OFAC, and you have all these companies that are basically slaves to whatever the government's telling them. But the internet is democratizing that, and it's creating a ecosystem where builders are creating products that the government won't be able to stop.
If you ever see the statistics around anti-money laundering, it is literally a tiny fraction.
It's nothing, dude.
Of what actually they've done to build up all this infrastructure and everything. It's like,
it's a scam.
It's the biggest illusion of all time, because apparently there's no implementation.
Dude, it's the same thing. It's the same thing with 9/11. They started implementing. US is supposed to be the freest country in the world. Where else in the world do they tell you to take off your shoes when you go through security, and they check and they pat you down and touch your nuts and you're not supposed, and you can't take water on the plane. And dude, what the fuck? It's all the governments do is create a crisis and then take more freedom. Create a crisis, take more freedom. Create a crisis, take more freedom. So it's the same thing with the governments. It's the same thing with the banks. Oh, well, they're money laundering, or North Korea. Bro, how many people are out here sending wires to North Korea, motherfucker? I don't need to be out here doing all this KYC verification, but I get it, because if you're in business, you have your bank identification number, you have your license, you have your charter, and if you don't follow the rules, they'll pull that shit from you. So it's either telling the customer to KYC and do all this policy stuff, or you end up being in a situation where you don't have a business. I mean, look at Binance, bro. I invested in Binance when it was $2 in 2017, when it was the fucking hottest exchange in the world. I could do anything that I wanted on there. It was pretty good. I didn't have to do all this KYC nonsense. And now it's run by the US government, right? So now it's fully controlled. It's fully kind of regulated. And it's kind of the inevitability of big government. So I see that changing soon.
And the irony of this, before we finish up, is the fact that even banks that are heavily regulated are also fucked. So Peter Schiff with Euro Pacific, he had everything audited for 4 years. There wasn't one missed transaction. And usually there's a leeway, like 2% or 1% of transaction. There's a leeway, of course, like in accounting. He didn't have one misspelling for all his years, and they came and took his bank, and it's over. And the reputation was such a big impact that he couldn't come back from it. And what the irony is, the bank was already sold to a Texas-based bank, and he was getting it off his plate.
Crazy.
And that's the situation he's in now. And it was all his own money. I think he put up 10 to 40 million of his own money, and it's all gone. And sorry, last thing I'll say on this is 62 million of customer deposits is on hold.
Wild.
That's the biggest impact.
Wild. And yeah, that's what happens when you are institutionalized and when you're a slave to the system. You have to play by the rules of what some bitch motherfucker in a white collar tells you that is or isn't supposed to be the rules of the game. Fuck them. Let's continue building DeFi. Let's continue elevating these digital tribal formations. Let's continue supporting these internet creators. These people actually want to see a better future. And I think the sky's the limit, brother.
Luke, let's say a massive thank you, man. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, homie.
Many more.
Hashtag undeniable in the comment section if you want to live a life that is undeniably, visibly the best version of yourself to inspire others. Cheers, motherfuckers.